Pia Timmer with that lightning fast arm swing, beating the block. Ramelsburg late to close, opening up a one-on-one situation for that fast strike.
Brandon Terry blasts into the block. Right back to Terry, shoves that one. Is it in? It is inbounds. So it's a point for Atlanta on the block. Bolt 6 automates those in-out calls on the floor with their 22 high-definition cameras. Very similar to what you might see in tennis these days in certain tournaments, those automated in-out calls on the lines. Good dig by Kaylee Cox for Columbus, and Isabella Rewatch, what you would call using the block there.
Kaylee Cox is really good in that middle back position. She makes great reads. Let's take a look at the block. The key for the block is to turn those palms into the court. Rewatch getting the left arm of that left side blocker.
In their 5-set loss against Indy, which Columbus lost the first 2 sets, came back impressively, staved off 3 match points in the 3rd set, big comeback in the 4th set, blew a lead though in the 5th set, missed a serve on match point, and missed serves were an issue all night long. We had that match in Indy, but a kill there to side out and put Ramelsburg behind the line.
And to your point on that, the 5-12 record for Columbus Fury is not reflective of the competition that they're putting in and week out in these matches. They are pushing teams to the limit.
Piccini ran the gap set. Monserrat well outside the attack line there with the set. Rivera sets behind her for Walker. Excellent play. And that setter-hitter connection, Abby Walker.
When speaking with Angel Perez before this matchup, he said, in our last match, we did a good job at running through the middles early, but then it tapered off later in the sets. So look to the Fury to continue to run the middle as this match goes on.
That was kind of like a mid-ball, not quite a back one, not quite a slide. Another Columbus missed serve. I mean, Pia Timmer back there, who is Atlanta's best server. 18 aces, only 9 errors coming in. And you could argue maybe Edmond would be in that category of Atlanta's best server, but Caleb Banwart said no, she believes Timmer is. Here's Timmer on the pick, leaning into that one and gets it done.
And another reason why Caleb Banwart said that is because when Timmer is back at that service line, the team accumulates a lot of points. This is a very strong rotation.
Just has a wicked float serve, a true knuckleballer. Pia Timmer behind the line. Kaylee Cox sides out for the Columbus Fury. Cox out of Western Kentucky and originally from Flower Mound, Texas.
It was a beautiful high swing by Kaylee Cox. With how big and physical this Atlanta team is on the block, you've got to find ways to beat it. And right there going high off the fingertips.
Rivera can score points behind the line. Tight, and Edmond, good coverage by Monserrat off that swing by Edmond. Second ball, Morgan Hentz. Aiko Jones, big touch into the block, but Jones scores for Atlanta.
Morgan Hentz is not only good defensively, she also has a really clean and consistent touch when she has to come in for that out-of-system set. Beautifully placing. There we see the triple block working on Leah Edmond, trapping her a bit. Good coverage, though, and then Aiko Jones to finish it.
Monserrat and Hentz made it there on that hitter coverage play. And despite the missed serve, Atlanta still in front by 5 on the road. This is the 3rd match between these two teams this year. They've actually split the series, despite Columbus only winning 5 matches so far this season. Angel Perez says he likes the matchup against Atlanta. There was a match on January 16th in Georgia that went to the 5th set, and Atlanta had to hold on 16-14. The other match here on February 23rd, Columbus swept Atlanta in that match.
And this is a new month, 2 new teams. Columbus trying to surge ahead, still think that they're in the playoffs, but they need to win now, and they need to continue to win.
Rewatch connects.
Coach Angel Perez told us that Rewatch has stepped up as that reliable, steady leader. Because of the youth of Columbus, you need an experienced veteran like Rewatch, and she serves that role.
Right back to Rewatch. That's straight down to the floor. Leah Edmond, a physical, underrated blocker. And Atlanta with their double sub in their formation with Mia Tuaninga and Anna Dixon gets out of that rotation, still in front by 6 going into this timeout. 16-10, big block for the 5. Healthy 6-point advantage in this first set to 25. Atlanta on the road leads Columbus. And again, the top 4 teams make the postseason. Right now, it's pretty clear cut who those top 4 would be if the season ended today. Still plenty of time left for the rest of the group to try and make a run, but Omaha, Orlando, Atlanta, and Indy well established at the moment inside the top 4.
And big news in the PVF, Indy is coming off of sweeping Omaha, so a really impressive performance by them. It's a battle for those top 4 positions, and also the rise, the thrill, they're kind of on the threshold. It'll be interesting to see the way that it all shakes out.
It really feels like right now anybody's game within that top 4, because you have, as you just saw, Omaha and Orlando at the top. Omaha, you just mentioned it, with the loss against Indy, and Atlanta just beat Orlando. So that's number 4, number 3, well now tied for 3rd, beating the number 1 and number 2 in the most recent matches. And hey, it's the debut this year, and the debut in a Columbus Fury uniform for Nutsara Tomcom, the 18th year pro out of Thailand, who was signed yesterday.
She's widely regarded as one of the best setters in the world. She's got a large following. She's so precise with her placement. I know PVF is happy to have her back.
Trying to ease her in, Angel Perez said, and it's Anna Dixon, a part of that double sub for Atlanta with the kill, because Tomcom only landed in Columbus a couple of days ago, basically a 1 p.m. first serve today. Head coach Angel Perez said it's basically 1 a.m., a 12-hour time difference, 1 a.m. body clock right now for Tomcom. So trying to ease her, and that's why she didn't get the start. And it's off the block and down for Pia Timmer.
Coach Kayla Manworth told us she loves the way Pia Timmer plays offense. She operates as a hitter by mixing up her shots. She said she'll get kills in 8 or 10 different ways in a match.
Morgan Lewis swinging left side of the set from Tomcom. Tomcom right back to Lewis, tips it, kept up once again. Great defense on this point from Corey Lewis, the middle blocker playing back row right now for Atlanta. Couldn't get to that one. Raina Terry with a kill.
One of the reasons why the Vibe has so much success this season is because of their defense. In that Orlando win that they're coming off of, they outdug the Valkyries 83-68. They had 83 digs in that match.
Kayla said they just scrap, fight every single point. They've been a resilient team this year.
Yeah, she said complete max effort every single point. And when you're playing a team like that with a never say die kind of mentality, it is really difficult to put the ball away.
Another substitute for Columbus. They have some firepower off the bench. Megan Courtney Lush, the 2-time national champion, former Super Cup MVP in Italy, 2-time NCAA champion at Penn State, checks in. She's been dealing with a couple of things lately, both an ankle injury, trying to work her way back from that. Also, illness forced her to miss their most recent match at Indy. She had a nasty stomach bug, but she's one of the most talented players, the only all-star on the Columbus roster. Faster tempo set, Pia Timmer dialed in the early going for Atlanta.
We're going to see the Fury target Leah Edmond on serve receive, but beautiful dime of a pass, setting up that tempo offense, and then Timmer with that fast arm swing, driving it through.
She is 4 for 5 in the first set. Kaylee Cox, big swing. Monserrat swipes that back in play. You could see what Tom Com provides running the offense for Columbus in her debut, connecting with Cox.
And I love that route that the Fury just ran. Abby Walker is up. She's ready. It looks like she's going to run the gap set, holds the blocker a little bit, and then the tempo set. Kaylee Cox on that go, who's able to get the kill.
Tom Com, she runs a fast offense. Brings a different dimension in that way to Columbus.
And it puts pressure on the block. It really stresses the block. It's difficult to play defense around, and that's one of the reasons why she's such an elite setter.
They unwind the 6-2, and Rivera is back in. Leah Edmond terminates, and the Vibe have been comfortably in front for most of the first set.
Earlier this season, Coach Kayla Banworth said that Leah Edmond is wired differently, and she will do whatever it takes to win, especially up against that triple block. She is going to find ways to put the ball away.
Big swing, but it's sent right back at Edmond. That's a big right side block for Columbus.
One-on-one situation here, so Kaylee Cox really had to man her ground, read, and then watch her dive her arms into that seam, pointing those palms into the court. That was a textbook block.
Right side swings on this point for each team. Out of the outside, Terry. Raina Terry, just a fantastic college career in Illinois. She's a rookie second-round pick. She is from Marengo, Ohio.
She's coming off of a really good showing against the Ignite. 18 kills, hitting .447, so finding a lot of success later on in this season.
She is one of 4 different Ohio natives on this Columbus Fury roster. That's what Lewis can do. They set her a little bit higher, slightly slower tempo than a lot of middles, and she just uses that reach to go over the block.
And you kind of have to set her a little higher because she has such a high vertical. She contacts that ball at such a high point and then creates all of these angles for herself.
Or in that case, around the block will work as well. Rewatch with the scoring play for Columbus.
Rewatch is very consistent. They can rely on her inside out, in transition, to put the ball away at a high level.
4 for 8 in the first set. Couple of errors for Rewatch. Slide kill, that's something Corey Lewis is working on. She was mostly in a 6-2 offense in college. You don't get to run the slide in a 6-2, but she's trying to make the adjustment now in the pros.
And she didn't train serving or defense, so she's also enjoying learning those new aspects of the game as well.
That'll work. On the gap set, Kaylee Ramelsberg out of Westerville, Ohio, Indiana University. Timmer has to be covered. Georgiadis, the libero, with the second ball, and Terry going down the line looking for some contact. Doesn't get it. The shot is out, and Atlanta has set point.
I like the placement by Aiko Jones going after the setter, tipping that ball to Wilma, forcing them to be out of system. Very nicely done.
Wilma Rivera, who is a left-handed setter, very capable of scoring like that to stave off a set point.
Left-handed setters really do have an advantage. You're able to just go up quickly, put that ball away. You're in your comfort zone because you're going up to swing with your heavy hand.
It's only her 10th kill of the season. It's surprising she doesn't have more for that reason. Pia Timmer ends the first set. It was all Atlanta. Made it look easy in the first.
They did. They were rolling with it from the very beginning to the very end. Nice swing by Pia Timmer. Really mixes it up. A ton of variety in her attack.
Timmer fittingly closes out the first set. 4 for 6 for Atlanta. It's a one-set lead for Atlanta. Not quite time to sing the blues yet if you're Columbus, but they are in a deficit at the moment. Let's take a look at tonight's player profile, brought to you by Dove. Nutsar Tomcom officially signing yesterday, and she's been selected to the Thailand national team 50 times during her career. 19 times she's been named best setter across various leagues and tournaments, including in Athletes Unlimited in 2023-24. She completed her third Athletes Unlimited season this past year, and last year with the San Diego Mojo won PVF Setter of the Year.
She's incredible. She's as elite as they come. And a cool connection here for this matchup. Coach Kayla Vanworth, coach of the Vibe, actually played against and with Tomcom throughout her career. She says she knows her really well. She adores her, and she's a legendary setter.
Opening point of the second set, Kaylee Cox and Columbus. Kayla Vanworth, the one thing she said they weren't certain about for the matchup today is how Columbus was going to use Tomcom. She feels like between her own experience, some of the players playing with Tomcom and Athletes Unlimited and against her last year in the PVF, they know Tomcom's tendencies. They weren't sure what to expect, though, in terms of usage, as Wilma Rivera, who has started at setter today, with Tomcom coming in as a substitute. Rivera gets a juicy overpass there and makes it 2-0.
And here's good execution of the game plan, targeting Leah Edmond, who's an outside hitter, trying to take her out of the offense and create some opportunities.
Just out with that serve. Yeah, that's part of the reason they've matched up well. Angel Perez thinks this year with Atlanta that Columbus has been able to make life difficult and contain at least Leah Edmond. If you can't stop her, at least hope to contain her. This is a middle Vicini with that set, very rare, and Aiko Jones with the swing. The shot is out.
In that first set, the Vibe was extremely efficient. They hit 481 to Fury's 306. They also sided out at 75%. So the Fury is going to amp up their serves, hopefully, to try and limit that side-out efficiency.
They didn't do it right there. That was a lollipop. And Atlanta, that's a big contributing factor to keeping Atlanta ahead of the point and helping the Vibe win the point.
That's a difficult set to attack. It's about 10 feet off the net. She tried to cut it off, hit that sharp angle, but when you're that far off the net, you have to contact it and swing through it super high. Easier said than done.
Well, clips the net, goes down for Terry.
Very rarely do you get a kill down in that left back position. Paul Sunderland named that left back position Hensville. And you see Hensville was a little wide open. Morgan Hens read something that was different than that sharp angle.
Well, there's a housing shortage, but a rare vacancy in Hensville. Roll shot this time, Terry, and very playable for Atlanta on the slide. Lewis, that is noteworthy. A couple of early kills on the slide for Corey Lewis. That's not really been her thing this year in terms of efficiency.
And when you run the 5-1, you have to have some kind of attacking presence from that right side. So you got to run your middle through the slide. Really impressive swing by Corey Lewis.
I feel like watching the film, she's been more comfortable this year on those gap sets and those higher two sets in the middle, but a couple of slide kills getting Atlanta back into a tie situation now, 4-4 in the second set. Good read by Jones. Timmer is blocked.
And we know what Timmer was trying to do. It was one of two things. One, she was trying to tip it forcefully enough the block so they could recycle it up, cover, and then make a play, or she was trying to tool the block by swiping it off the outside arm, but there the block was locked, loaded, very disciplined by the Fury.
Just had a kill on the previous point. She had been 6 for 8 with no errors before being blocked right there. And Monterrey wins the joust. Saved by Kaylee Cox, and Terry, what a play. Ball coming in behind her head, able to score.
That is extremely difficult. You have to have a lot of body control. You have to be patient on your approach. Very well executed by Terry.
Tough serve to handle and a rare bad pass by Morgan Hens. Rivera, faster set to Terry. Just kept up by Atlanta. On the slide, Ramelsburg, who passed that and then had to attack it. Now it's Timmer in transition. Roofed again. Big point from Kaylee Ramelsburg. She hit the slide, got back into blocking position.
Kaylee Ramelsburg is really quick side to side. That was more of a tempo set. It was a fast set, but she's very fast laterally, gets there and closes the block.
Ramelsburg played professionally last year in Finland, second-year pro, first year in the PVF. And there it is, just over the block. That's what Lewis usually does to score points.
And she just makes it look easy at that. And she's also a very calm, cool, and collected player. So she'll get an amazing kill like that, and just, it's all down to business. She's going back to serve.
362 on this season for Lewis. Good read by Rewatch against Montserrat. Now, D-ball attack. Rewatch dug by Aiko Jones. What a quality point for both teams, and an effort there from Columbus to try and save it, but Leah Edmond out of the back row is a serious weapon.
The full-around athleticism of the Vibe was just on display there. Corey Lewis, the middle blocker, getting that dig. Marley Montserrat saving it, and then running through the pipe. That middle back row attack a little higher. Leah Edmond's able to avoid the hands of the block and put it away.
Going to take us to a timeout. Columbus leads by 2, 8-6 in set 2, but down a set. Columbus down a set, but up 8-6 in the second set here at home in Nationwide Arena. Tonight at 6 Eastern, catch up on all the latest college hoops action with tournament post-game coverage and in-depth analysis as the road to the Final Four continues on NCAA March Madness 360. That's right here on CBS Sports Network. Who's your national champion in your bracket? Oh, you didn't do a bracket.
Well, don't call me out like that. I was a little overwhelmed. I think that Florida's going to win, though. I just watched them beat up on Tennessee, and I've got some relatives who are big Tennessee fans, and so they were not happy, but Florida was dominant. Offensively, defensively, it was insane. So I got Florida. What about you?
I got Tennessee.
Really?
I'm rooting for Rick Barnes.
Okay, okay.
You're biased, though. You're from Florida.
That's true, but I went to Florida State, so I can't stand Florida.
All right, fair enough. So I take your point. I concede your point on that one. And Atlanta, what a swing from Aiko Jones, who again gets the starting nod in place of the #1 overall pick, Merritt Beeson. And Atlanta gets an ace out of their setter, Montserrat.
It's so basic, but the sport of volleyball really does come down to the serve and pass game. Columbus got that 8-6 lead because they amped up their service pressure. Now we see the Vibe fighting back.
Cross-court swing from Kaylee Cox, powering it through the block.
Coach Angel Perez told us Kaylee Cox is their technical outside. She provides some stability back row. She's good at defense and passing, and then she's very technical. She can put the ball away in a few different ways.
Filling the role that had been occupied by Megan Courtney Lush, who's been down with an ankle injury. She's active, but doesn't seem to be fully herself, able to play in the front row right now. She's coming in as a passing sub, but they like the way that Kaylee Cox has embraced the role this year as a rookie out of Western Kentucky. This will be, after the hitting error, a Timmer serve. Just has a nasty float serve, serving at Kaylee Cox, who has to pass that one. What a play by Cox, passing and then attacking.
And that was really well done by the Fury in general, setting position. And then the middle coming in, holding the middle, holding the Chini on her, jumping with her was Wilma Rivera. And then Cox was set up for a one-on-one.
Edmond beats the block.
Leah Edmond is so powerful, and she's really fun to watch because she has this long approach, and you can just tell with how much momentum she has in her approach, she can bring so much power and strength to every single one of her attacks.
Averages 4.5 points per set. Only Abercrombie this year from Orlando is a higher scorer in the Pro Volleyball Federation.
Overall in the second set, Columbus is doing a better job at keeping themselves in system. Their first contact is a lot more clean in this set.
Again, serving it, Edmond. And throwing that down is Edmond. Now checking in for Columbus is Janice Liao. She met Corey Lewis during that point. Liao gives them more length as a blocker.
And right there, just a little late to close. She had a good block against Corey Lewis, but then was a little late to get to that outside position.
Liao checked in as a sub. That Indy was very, very effective after having played only limited time recently. Around the triple block, Pia Timmer converts.
Pia Timmer is crafty, and what's also difficult about this Atlanta team to block them defensively is right now they have 5 players on the court that can attack. Millback on the D-ball, Monserrat is a threat as well, middle and outside, so it's really difficult to block this team.
A lot of different options. Good pass by Kaylee Cox. Now Terry blasts it, but there was no contact. That's out. Terry is their power hitter. 2.5 kills per set, but a hitting error puts Atlanta up by 2. Aiko Jones has a nice looking serve. Does a lot of things well for Atlanta. Morgan Hentz with the layout. Here is Terry. Doesn't miss this time.
Powerful outside is right. Bringing the heat is Raina Terry. You see Paula Sarame come in as a libero, maybe used as a defensive libero. Good pass by her, keeping them in system, and then Terry powering through that ball, hitting into that 6-1, into that seam.
Kate Georgiadis was the starter today at libero for the 10th straight match. Sarame was starting earlier in the season, now checking in. So a lot of changes during the match already for Columbus, with Liao, one of those substitutes, in serving. In transition, Edmond. Out of system, Terry with the miss. That's one of those, has to stay in play there. And a point for Atlanta.
Yep, that's one of those ones that you kind of just want to give a fast-paced swing, keep it in system, keep it in play. Because we're seeing Atlanta break away a little bit, gain some momentum. The Fury needs to limit their errors.
Raypot's trying to hit line. Atlanta up by 3. Just a relentless team. They're second in the league in aces, the Atlanta Vibe. They have all the scoring options. They have so many different serving options, and one of them is Edmond. Her 3rd ace of the day already puts Atlanta up by 4 going into the timeout. Leah Edmond, MVP last year for a reason. Vibe up by a set, and they've taken control in the second set. (16-12) Atlanta leads in the second set, already up by a set as well. CBS Sports Network has you covered with all things March Madness. Relive tonight's second round action with the 2025 tournament rebound. That's tonight, CBS Sports Network. We got March Madness in season, but volleyball action heating up as well this time of year in the pro ranks. The PVF heading quickly towards the postseason, which will take place in early May. And Isabella Raypotch, the Temple alum, with the swing. Out Rivera, who hails from Puerto Rico, sets Raypotch again. Marley Monserrat to Edmond out of the back row, rattles around. And a eventually out off of Atlanta.
One of the strengths of this Fury team is the physicality on the block. When they put a triple block up and they are close, sealed, and pressed, they are really difficult to get around.
Yeah, they have a lot of size. Angel Perez says that's important in the modern game, the way that these players have continued to develop more and more powerful swings. You need a big block against that, but can't match Lewis. Block couldn't get there for Corey Lewis.
One of the things that Caleb Banworth told us Corey Lewis is working on is getting up quickly, being available, and swinging fast. I think that was all of those things.
That was quick. That was everything. Terry. There was some contact. Ball ruled in as well.
That's a really difficult ball to defend. It's over the block. It's over Corey Lewis's head, who's in that left back position. It was perfectly placed right in that little honey pot in the corner.
I thought that might have been sailing out, but that was very well placed by Raina Terry. Higher swing from Timmer. The question is, was there block contact? The answer on the court was no, and we might be getting our first challenge of the night.
That there was a block touch.
Devoney McClarty, the R1 in the stand today, announces that it's a block touch challenge. The referee number 2 in charge of these replays and at the table all day is Barb Zavonik. Another expedited review shows that there was a block touch. Point for Pia Timmer and the Vibe.
It was textbook high hand swing, just grabbing that fingertip. Atlanta Vibe surging ahead, getting some length. Now they're up by 4.
I mean, at some point it had to even out against Columbus after we saw them win 4 challenges in a single set in the game we had at Indy a few nights ago. But the Vibe are muscling up here in the second set.
Caleb Banworth called Aiko Jones, that opposite position blocker right now, the team's best blocker. She said she's really making a difference in our defense, and hitters are afraid to swing against her.
Good serve by Monserrat going short. Covered by Heads. Just a little less consistency on that side of the net right now. Columbus is going to challenge this. They think there was a block contact.
This is challenging that there was a block touch.
If we know anything about head coach of the Fury, Angel Perez, he is locked in on these challenges. We called their match against Indy. And he had 4 correct challenges in one set?
4 correct challenges in the 4th set, which they wound up coming back and winning. There's no way they were going to win that set without those 4 challenges going their way.
And I like the way that he explained it. He's like, it's a mini game for me. It's a way that I can help my team get points by being locked in, by seeing these little things. I can help make a difference in the points with just being locked in on the challenges. And so he's probably one of the best challenge coaches in the league.
Indy wound up winning that set in 5. Atlanta is coming off a victory against second place Orlando. They won the final 3 sets, including 2 of them by 8+ points. Atlanta has won 5 matches in a row. And this challenge for a block touch. Oh no, unsuccessful.
That is rare. We might have jinxed him. Very close though, and you might as well go for it. Also, the challenge can take the form of a timeout. It gives you a chance to talk to your team, take a beat, kind of reset. Atlanta is surging ahead, so I don't mind that challenge because it also can take the form of a timeout.
Because of how quick these reviews go with our Bolt 6 technology in the PVF, you get 2 timeouts per, 2 challenges per set. And if you win it, you keep it. So there's no shortage of challenge opportunities. Doesn't really hurt to use one as a de facto timeout, but the reviews always get sorted quickly as well. Ray Potts leans in, and she is rejected. McKenna Buccini out of Stanford.
Vicini is getting there so quickly and closing the block. The pins are doing a wonderful job. It's setting up the block in the right position, setting up a little inside, seeing Rewatch is inside the court, not all the way out to the pin, so good placement by that block.
So a timeout called by Columbus, 21-14. Atlanta up by a touchdown in the second set. Let's take a look at the team huddle, brought to you by Spalding. We'll start with the Fury. What do you think's going through the minds right now of the Columbus Fury and the instruction that's going on? That's Carlos Cardona, their lead assistant, giving out a lot of the instruction. He was a key figure of the Puerto Rican national team for a long time, actually coached their head coach, Angel Perez.
I think one of the things that they're talking about is they have to find ways around the block. The Atlanta block is really heating up. I like the routes that they were running in the first set. They were doing the gap go. They were really stressing the Atlanta vibe, spreading out their offense, getting back to that, but it all starts with the first ball contact. So trying to manage that serve and keep themselves in system is also an emphasis.
To your point, Atlanta already 5 stuff blocks to the Fury's 3. Just defensively, this 5 team is really trustworthy with the length they have up front. Morgan Hens at libero. They're out digging the Fury by close to double figures already. And we know about their weapons offensively, so they're a well-rounded team. Now, Nutsara Tomcom has come back in for the Columbus Fury. And rejected. Kaylee Cox, another stuff block for Atlanta, the 6th for the Vibe.
Aiko Jones is invasive. She is physical. She is locked in. I think maybe a different setting decision, go to someone else. Kaylee Cox is getting roofed out here on that left pin.
There's that different decision. Ramelsberg on the slide. Now it's Timmer. And it doesn't matter where you go. If you're Columbus right now, Atlanta just keeps on stacking up the points.
Atlanta is so good in transition. They apply the pressure from the service line, which set themselves up in a good position defensively to keep that ball in play. And then they're really efficient in that transition area of the game.
It's a 6-0 run for the Vibe on a short serve there. Hard to handle. You're allowed to touch it twice. The first one was a block touch, doesn't count. Has one of the 3 touches. Blocked off the tip by Jones. Jones, a good touch on the free ball, and Vicini punctures that one but misses. The more you watch Aiko Jones, I know they didn't win that point, but she does everything for them when she's in there.
She's really disciplined too. It's not just that she's physical, but she's disciplined as well. She has good eye sequence. She knows to wait and hold, and then she's up and pressed.
Kayla Banworth, the head coach for Atlanta, was saying it. You were talking about the blocking, Madison. Kayla said, it's not like I want to say that the opposing team is afraid to hit against Aiko Jones, but they kind of are, is what they're figuring out. A great touch by Morgan Hens, and Vicini puts it away.
Morgan Hens has such good feel of the court. Her back is turned to the net, but she knows where she is. She knows where the setter is. She's experienced. Her contact is so clean, and she's one of the reasons why this Vibe team is consistently in system.
Good pass by Kaylee Cox. She's going to attack this one. And the reaction by Vicini. Sarame with the dive and a high swing from Kaylee Cox. Contact on the court. And why not challenge if you're Atlanta? So it's a point scored by Columbus that is now being challenged by the Vibe.
Challenging that there was no block touch on the play.
They are about to challenge a no block touch.
Both 6 responsible for the reviews. Kayla Banworth looking on. First year this year as head coach for the Vibe after Todd Dodgenay resigned following the 2024 season. This was a team, Atlanta, that not only did they win the regular season last year, they finished 3 games ahead of second place Omaha, but a disappointing finish. They lost in the 1 seed versus 4 seed matchup in a 5-set thriller against Grand Rapids in the PVF semifinals.
And it's not that they feel like a championship was stolen from them, but maybe they could feel like that, and that means that they are extremely determined to get it this year. Leah Edmond, Marley Montseret, Morgan Hens, all of those players were players that felt that loss and took it very seriously, and now they're bouncing back and they're ready to take a championship this year. They are on a mission.
It's fun to see that. I mean, we're only 1.5 years into this Pro Volleyball Federation. As no block touch. So that means that Atlanta wins the challenge and wins the set. And it's fun to see, I was going to say, these teams take on these identities already. And Leah Edmond is such an impressive player for Atlanta. Back in year 2 for the Vibe, won MVP in the regular season last year. And playing well once again today. Already has 5 kills, 4 digs, and 3 aces. And Atlanta in front, 2-0. Over to Madison.
All right, Leah, they're putting up a triple block on you. As an attacker, how do you combat that kind of defensive pressure?
Well, with a triple block, sometimes there's seams, so seeing those seams, but really just staying at high hands, not pulling it down because you have, 6 hands in your face, but also listening to my teammates. They've been really good communicating with me what I have open and just to swing hard, and they got my back.
You were down 8-6, and then you guys are surging ahead. What contributes to that momentum as a team collectively?
I think we focus on 1 point at a time, and we also know that we can score points serving. So once we get back there, trying to get on a run every time we go back and serve.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Yeah.
Atlanta hitting 362 versus the first couple of sets for Columbus, 127. This has been a mismatch so far. The Vibe, the hottest team in the league, coming in. 5 straight wins, 1 set away from a 6th straight win. But still work left to do. The stats for the first 2 sets in Columbus, Ohio, and everywhere you look, it looks good for Atlanta.
Timmer is leading the team right now for Atlanta with 9 kills. Lewis has been phenomenal in the middle, 7 for 10, hitting 700. And another thing that stands out to me about this is the 4 service aces to 0, because the Atlanta Vibe is pressuring Columbus. And because of that, the Columbus offense is limited and they're not able to run through their middles as often as they would want.
Atlanta passing 60% in system, so the ball control on the Vibe side very good, and they're up 2-0 in sets. See if Columbus can find some life here. Start of the 3rd set, Atlanta won the first set by 6, the second set by 10. AJ Cannell, Madison Fitzpatrick, Pro Volleyball Federation on the CBS Sports Network, and Nutsara Tomcom in rotation 1 for Columbus with the opening serve. Aiko Jones, the response. So notable that Nutsara Tomcom, though, starting the set for Columbus.
I think that that's a smart move. She runs a really balanced offense. They need to get their middles involved more. Atlanta Vibe, though, 0 errors hitting in set 1, only 2 in set 2. It's difficult to beat a team like that.
15 attacking errors, make it 16 for Columbus. Those attack errors, it also counts if you get blocked. And they just did get blocked.
A beautiful block. Corey Lewis moving so quickly side to side, closing that block. But it's Aiko Jones with that right hand hanging in the air and shoving it down.
Defensively, Aiko Jones has been high quality as Janice Liao with the kill. But Jones, mentioning her, she has 3 kills, but I think more noteworthy, the 2 stump blocks and 9 digs out of the right side for Aiko Jones.
And it's so important to have that right side blocking presence being as physical as she is, because when you're facing the Raina Terrys or the really powerful outsides, you need a defensive presence right there.
Corey Lewis has been impressive as advertised for Atlanta.
Corey Lewis is 2nd in the league in hitting efficiency at 362. FSU, where she went to college, they kind of ran their offense through her, and the Atlanta Vibe does the same thing.
Columbus making a bunch of lineup changes from earlier compared to their starting lineup. Hitter coverage there from Isabella Rewatch, now takes the swing. Healthy block. Right back to the Columbus side. Terry attacks. Leah Edmond high swing. Megan Courtney Lush, one of those changes. She is in. On the D-ball. Big swing from Iko Jones out of the University of Louisville, where she was 5-time All-ACC.
Watch Iko Jones from the back row. Beautiful set by Marley Monserrat. Little quick set off of the D-ball. Iko Jones contacts it really high and is able to squeak it through that seam in the block.
Paula Sarame in at libero. Janice Liao in at middle. Tom Comet setter. Courtney Lush in the lineup as well. All of those are changes compared to the starting lineup for Columbus. And now Liao will serve, played collegiately in Miami. She's from New Bedford, Massachusetts. And she has an ace. Liao, her second ace of the season.
That's a line-to-line serve. They're trying to work Leah Edmond to her line, drilling that seam in between Edmond and that left sideline.
Had a strong rookie pro season in Puerto Rico. First year in the PVF. Liao behind the setter, Corey Lewis. With a miss, Bolt 6 says out.
Oh, that's surprising. I thought that was in from where we are. Nonetheless, Corey Lewis has these crazy angles. To hit that sharp of a swing off of that slide attack is really difficult to do, and a rare miss by Corey Lewis, who is having an extremely efficient night.
Bolt 6, the company responsible for automated in-out calls. Wait a second.
I knew it.
That's in, so I guess the wrong message was transmitted to the officials. Very rarely see that. Just a miscommunication there, something with the system malfunctioning there for a second. But no, that was in, so a point for Atlanta.
That's Corey Lewis's 9th kill on 12 attempts, hitting around 700. So impressive.
We've been doing PVF for now it's a year and a half in, Madison. That is the first time I've ever seen that happen.
That's true. Okay, Bolt 6 gets one slip up, and that's all it's going to do.
Isabella Rewatch. Another Atlanta block touch off of Terry. But Jones is blocked.
Columbus is going to need some more of that discipline blocking. The vibe is very balanced, so this was a much-needed block by them, getting in there, shutting down any seams from Iko Jones. Maybe that set a little too far inside or in front of the line, so all Iko could do was tip.
Columbus got down 2-0 at Indy and wound up taking the Ignite to the 5th set, so we know Fury are not going to relent. Tom Com in her debut for the Fury. Outside to Terry. Free ball, Columbus. Walker.
And that's something that Tom Com does really well, is running in transition through the middles, forcing those middles, whether you're on the net or let's say 5 to 10 feet off. She is going to try to force those middles, open up the pins later on.
Which is something Columbus needs. They got to try to go to the middles more. Iko Jones, one-handed dig. She's in double figures now in that category. Nice set by Tom Com, and Terry pays it off.
Sarame is a really good libero because she's really quick on defense. She makes these great reads, and then she's fast to respond. She played for Orlando last season. She would just come into the lineup off the bench, make these crazy digs right there. Good defense by her, keeping her team in it.
So even though that ball was, you could see it land out, it made contact with the fingers of the block, which was why Columbus scored the point. But Corey Lewis with the response for Atlanta, and Lewis is now in double figures, 10 for 13, no hitting errors, 4 digs as well. Right back to Walker, tips it to the floor. A couple of kills in a row for Abby Walker in a short sequence.
This is what was missing. Well, also, the passing is more in system now. They're able to run through their middles because they're passing more in system to the net, to their setter.
Here's Megan Courtney Lush. Once again behind the center to Walker. Oh, she got there to try and block Timmer, but couldn't execute.
What Coach Caleb Banworth said about Timmer getting kills in 8 or 10 different ways throughout the match, I think we've seen 8 or 10 different ways right now. They're going with the off-speed tip, tooling the block.
That is out, and Abby Walker, someone who Columbus has found here in the third set. She's becoming a weapon offensively. The graduate of the University of Cincinnati and the Ohio native gives Columbus the lead going into the timeout.
The Pro Volleyball Federation on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Franklin Sports, a proud partner of the Pro Volleyball Federation on CBS Sports Network.
Another fun Pro Volleyball Federation environment in Columbus, Ohio on this Sunday afternoon. Early spring. PVF calendar going from January through May. And so middle to later part of the regular season now. AJ Cannell, Madison Fitzpatrick with you in Columbus, Ohio for this matchup between the Columbus Fury at home and the visiting Atlanta Vibe. And that was the pre-planned timeout at 8 points. And coming out of that break, McKenna Vicini out of Stanford. She won the national title in the NCAA in 2019.
Vicini is a crafty middle. Look at the space that she's taking from Marley Monterey, really lengthening out those blocks, spreading out the defense.
Courtney Lush, it's going to be an adjustment for Courtney Lush, you'd have to say. I think it's her first appearance, Madison, in the front row since February 20th.
And what Courtney Lush brings to this team is experience defensively. She's such an asset for them. She's got great ball control. She makes accurate reads, and she's quick to the ball offensively. Right there, the block was just up and pressed early and on her.
Coming off a tough ankle injury, and they're going to turn things around the back half of the season. They're going to need some production out of Megan Courtney Lush, their only all-star. Vicini into the block and out of play for an Atlanta point.
We see historically on that D-ball set, if the attacker comes in and tips over the block, that'll go down 5 times out of 10. Well, never on Morgan Hens. She is there. She makes such great reads.
Liao fits it through the block.
I love the emphasis of running through the middles by Tomcom. Now, this is a good rotation for the Fury. Tomcom is going back to serve. She's got 3 weapons on offense in the front row and then 1 in Raina Terry in middle back.
Morgan Lewis is checked in to play front right. Marley Montserrat sets the back row via Timmer. Done by Raina Terry. Courtney Lush showing off her hands with the set for Lewis, but it's blocked by Edmond.
Leah Edmond is so physical at the block, holding, being patient, driving that ball back down. It's looking like Columbus is getting a little more chaotic with their touches. It feels rushed, but this is what we've seen from Atlanta in the first 2 sets. They just kind of take off when they get this momentum later in the set.
Yes, yeah, this middle part of the set, Atlanta's gone on a run each time. Excellent observation. Aiko Jones figuring out a way, and this time she makes contact with Liao up high, and Liao is shaken up. It's a part of the game. Happens once in a while, and hope she's all right. I think anyone, Madison, who's played at this level has had that happen to them, whether in a game or in practice. It's just going to happen every once in a while.
Oh, for sure. Multiple times in your volleyball career, you're going to get nailed in the face. That's also a testament to how high she is getting over the net. Her face is above the net when she is blocking. Talk about an athlete.
And her teammates being very supportive of her, trying to have even a sense of humor about it. Give her a chance to collect herself. Janice Liao, first-generation college student. Her family emigrated from Cape Verde on the west coast of Africa. She became a star player in Miami and I think you said she was named best middle blocker last year in Puerto Rico. So had a fantastic rookie season. And now starting to step up more as the season has gone along for Columbus. The last few matches, Tom full layout. Sarame to Megan Courtney Lush, pretty tight to the net there, has to tip it over. Montsere sets quickly to Lewis, dug up high by Terry. Excellent bump set by Tom to Morgan Lewis. Now it's Leah Edmond hitting cross court, Sarame underneath it. Tom sautés it for Lewis, who threads that down. What a point for Columbus.
And look at what the Fury is doing. They're putting Morgan Lewis on that outside pin, Megan Courtney Lush on the right side. So they're mixing up their offense. Morgan Lewis is very physical. Maybe that's why they're putting her on the outside. This is one of the reasons why Tom is as elite as they come. 270 dig last season in the PVF. She is just as good defensively.
Yeah, she was #1 among all setters last year in digs. Nutsara Tom. Tough serve by Aiko Jones. Raina Terry, high swing. That gets down there for a kill.
The precision and the accuracy by Tom with the bump set over her right shoulder, falling down to her knees in the perfect placement for Raina Terry with that high, deep swing.
Double-figure kills now for Terry on high volume, 34 swings, 10 kills. Timmer uses her hands to pass the ball. Tom reads the opposing setter, Montsere. Montsere back sets for Lewis, and that's a missed connection. A little momentum right now back to Columbus.
Tom is showing us right now why she is the X factor. She got that dig. She read the on-two by Barley Montsere. Janice Liao in that left back position is a middle, not used to reading those setter dumps, so great dig by Tom
shaking off the jet lag that Coach Perez was a little concerned about coming in, as Corey Lewis, who had a couple of moments recently of one hitting error, but overall has been great throughout the course of the afternoon.
11 kills, 16 attempts, hitting .625. Hitting over 600 is something that Corey Lewis does.
And very high volume as well for a middle to be able to connect on double-figure kills, and we're still in the middle of the third set. And that's something we've seen more from Lewis lately. She had 14 kills 2 matches ago against San Diego, her second highest total of the year. But an ace serve, clipping the net and down for Morgan Lewis.
And this is another area of the game that Angel Perez told us they're going to emphasize is aggressive serving when Corey Lewis is in the front row. He said she is the oxygen tank for their offense. So they want to serve aggressively to take her out of the offense.
Lewis behind the attack. Excellent effort by Walker to try and cover that, but too much up front from Atlanta.
Walker was in the right position. You got to crash in there to cover. She was in the perfect spot. That block straight down. Pointing those palms, yeah. Thea Timmer's so good, pointing those palms down, shutting off any seams.
Terry tools for the kill.
Raina Terry has a super strong arm. Coach Angel Perez said we want her matched up against their best attacker because one, she's very physical defensively, and then offensively she's able to tool that block with all the power in her arm.
Played 5 years because of COVID with Illinois, was their team leader in points and kills all 5 years. Tell you what though, Timmer, who played 5 years at Washington State, is an underrated player in the PVF, does a little bit of everything and usually does it efficiently for Atlanta, who takes the lead going into the timeout. During the month of March, CBS Sports celebrates women's history, honoring the role of women inspiring generations to move forward together. Today, we celebrate the career of our good friend and colleague, Holly McPeak, national champion at UCLA in college indoor, then an excellent pro career on the beach, and a three-time Olympian, including in Athens in 2004, bronze medalist.
Holly McPeak, I can't even say was a baller because she still is a baller. I see her play beach volleyball now, and she is just as good. Well, maybe not as good, but she is so athletic, and she's up there still. Now she's a good friend. She's a role model for me in this career. She's very selfless. She's got a wealth of knowledge, and she's not afraid to share it with everyone. She's worth honoring for sure.
What's the biggest lesson you have learned so far in your young career from Holly McPeak, Kilfa Walker?
I think she told me that I am worth it. It's not bad to demand more from others and yourself because you are worth it. And so she really set the standard for me and how I view myself in this industry.
It sounds like she's empowered you.
For sure.
I'm not surprised to hear that. McKenna Vicini down to the court.
Good response by Atlanta. Side-out efficiency from them has been really good. I like when they're in system. Marley Monserrat has good connections with her middles, and she'll run through them often.
Courtney Lush takes that nicely down the line. Monserrat with the scoop. Sarame using one hand and hitting the deck for that one. Out of system. Courtney Lush is denied. Aiko, Jones, and Vicini, a powerful combination up front.
That's a difficult situation. That set is coming from so far deep into the court. Over your shoulder, she was patient. Nice high swing, but with that block of Atlanta being so closed, it's almost impossible to get past.
Who gets credit for the block there? Because there's no combined block, unlike the NCAAs. It actually did touch both of them, so you could give either one credit. But I guess the scorekeeper has to pick someone. Morgan Lewis too high with that swing, and Atlanta inching ahead when they need to in the third. Timeout, Columbus.
And this is what happens when the block and the defense is as sound as it is for Atlanta. It forces Columbus to feel like they need to overextend themselves to get kills, and then that can lead to errors.
Isn't this sport so much about the amount of pressure you can put on the opposing team? Because in order to have good ball control, in order to execute the way you need to feel under control. It feels like in those key moments today, Columbus has lost their grip on a little bit of that control, but it's for a reason. It's because their opponent is forcing them into uncomfortable situations.
Exactly. It's about applying the pressure and then putting yourself in the best position to make a dig, to make the block. The service pressure for Columbus in this set started out really strong. They were doing a great job at serving the seams, really overloading Leah Edmond. But as the set went on, they've lessened the service pressure, and now that's allowed Atlanta to take control, amp up their pressure, their side, and apply all that pressure.
Pro Volleyball Federation news and notes. Let's take a look at some of the recent news. Vegas Thrill badly needed to snap a 7-match losing streak, and they were able to recently against Grand Rapids, but also 9-2 all-time in 5-set matches. The Indy Ignite had a big win against Columbus, then beat Omaha as well. Thought that was perhaps even more newsworthy was the win over first place Omaha and Taiba Hanif Park. Recently, not only selected to the women's national team coaching staff, but inducted into the USA Volleyball Hall of Fame. So far in this one, the Vibe hitting 360, the Columbus Fury at 120. It has been a Vibe-dominated match, forcing a Columbus timeout late in the third set. Atlanta looking for the sweep. Two hands and over from Terry. The block was ready, but a new opportunity for Courtney Lush. Big time block, covered off maybe the head of Sarame, hit her somewhere up high. And now Vicini into the block. Janice Leal, good awareness. Now it's Leah Edmond pounding it home. Relentless from Atlanta.
Absolutely. How many blocks did we see in that play? That was insane. That rally showed so much dominance with the net defense. And what do you do when you're getting blocked a lot? Well, Leah Edmond says, I'm going to swing high and sharp and with a whole lot of power.
Courtney Lush came out, Kaylee Cox back in. On the Columbus side. Timing is off, but Vicini still gets it over and gets the kill. Everything going Atlanta's way.
That was such an athletic shot by Vicini that set a little too low, but she gets it. Puts it in the right spot, and this is called the flow zone. Everything is going right for Atlanta. Muscle memory is really kicking in.
How do I get in the flow zone? I think I like the sound of that. That sounds fun, the flow zone.
I read it in a sports psychology book, and it's when everything is going your way as an athlete. It's almost like your brain can shut off. It's muscle memory. Everything is going right.
It's challenging that there was a net fault on the play.
There's a challenge taking place right now. Columbus is challenging the call. Well, we talked about Angel Perez's success challenging calls. They really need this one. The score was 16-16. Atlanta has scored every point since on a 6-0 run pending this challenge. We've talked about it, Madison. Almost every set has gone a similar script. I mean, not maybe down to the exact point, but somewhere in the middle of the set, there has been a big run from Atlanta. And we're seeing it right now. No net touch. They were challenging net touch. Atlanta did not touch the net. So the Vibe win the point. Unsuccessful challenge. And that 6-0 run is upheld.
And I said it earlier, this Atlanta team is unsatisfied. They're leading by a little bit, or maybe they're tied. They demand more from themselves. They are unsatisfied with that lead, and that's one of the reasons why that drive just surges them ahead.
It's going to be interesting to see how things shake out amongst the top of the league. I mean, you have Omaha right now has been very clearly the best team in the regular season, but they still need to decide who their setter is going into the postseason. We have the trade deadline coming up on April 1st. That could play a factor, but there are questions for some of the teams above Atlanta. They just came off a win over Orlando, who's in second place. Is that's going to be a point for Columbus. They hit the buzzer thinking they were going to challenge the block touch. We saw that last game as well. Angel Perez mentioning that they have such a short period of time to legally challenge a point that they'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission there on the premature buzzer.
That quote literally came to life right there.
Right
he
there.
did. He's on it. He does not want to lose a point.
But your thoughts, Madison, as we get kind of late into this briefly, the top four, Omaha, Orlando, Atlanta, Indy. Anything stick out to you right now amongst that top four? Because I kind of feel like Atlanta and Indy are playing as well as the number 1 and number 2, Omaha and Orlando.
And that's why it's so difficult to tell what's going to happen, because the parity is at an all-time high. These teams just trade off beating each other. So it's almost impossible to make predictions about what can happen in the playoffs, because they just all go back and forth. There's really no front runners, I would say, because it's been so wishy-washy up and down the whole season.
And you have teams like Columbus on the outside looking in, still feeling like there's enough time left in the regular season to try and make a push, get inside the top four. Leah Edmond gets Atlanta 2 points away. Of course, it'll be the top four, semifinals and finals. And then the winner will win a $1 million prize. That's what's at stake at the end of the season. Vicini to serve with Atlanta up by 4 late, looking for the sweep. Here. Nice tempo on that one, and Morgan Lewis with the disposal.
Tom Cobb just signed to this team. She just landed in Columbus, but her connection with the outsides and the middles is really impressive right out of the gates. That's not an easy thing to do, to develop that connection so quickly.
It's hard to believe she flew to Columbus from Thailand a couple of nights ago and just got in, but Atlanta has carried the day and is now 1 point away from the sweep win, with Aiko Jones going behind the line to serve. This is the first time Columbus has even made it to 20. Terry missed it, and they're going to challenge. Might as well challenge.
Yep. Nothing to lose at this point. Might as well challenge.
Columbus is challenging that there was a block touch.
And so if the challenge is unsuccessful again, Atlanta will win, but we got to wait and see first on our Bolt 6 replay review.
Coach Angel Perez told us in that match versus Indy, he had one of those where he challenged it. He wasn't really sure if he should or if he shouldn't, or whether it was in or out. Whatever the challenge was, he wasn't sure, but he said, oh, I might as well. And he got it correct. They were rewarded, got that challenge back. So trying a little something like that here, nothing to lose.
And it's an unsuccessful challenge, so Atlanta wins in 3. They take back sole possession of third place, moving a half game ahead of the Indy Ignite. And right now, the Vibe are firmly in the postseason. Still plenty of time left in the regular season. But I think the standings have sorted themselves a little bit in recent games, Madison. Atlanta moving back into third.
Atlanta was phenomenal in every facet of the game. They took control early. They kept control. They kept their foot on the gas pedal. Corey Lewis led this team with 12 kills on 18 attempts, hitting .611. Standout from the rookie.
That is a middle blocker leading the team in kills. You don't see that very often. Their leader in digs was not Morgan Hentz. It was Aiko Jones with 12 digs in 3 sets at the right side. So it was an unconventional win in certain ways for Atlanta, but in other regards, it was kind of business as usual. That relentless approach, the great defense both at the net and in the backcourt was all there. And the Atlanta Vibe pull the sweep out on the road. For Madison Fitzpatrick, our producer Jeff Graham, director TJ McGinnis, this has been a presentation of the CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. I'm AJ Cannell saying so long from Columbus, Atlanta in 3.